Welcome to the Coherent Life. I'm Ty. We're going to kick back and talk about survival mode, coherence, and creating your life on purpose through real conversations about things like relationships, money, health, and the patterns that keep repeating in everyday life. If you already know that thoughts create reality but keep getting pulled into old patterns, stress, or overwhelm, you're in the right place. So I know I'm not the only person that can identify with feeling terrified to follow your desires. Following our desires can feel terrifying. But why? Why does it feel terrifying to follow our desire? I think it's because we don't trust ourselves. And why don't we trust ourselves? My theory is that social conditioning, generational trauma, and because we don't do it enough. So think about that for a second. Trust is not something that you're born with or something that you magically wake up with one day. It's something that's built through experience. And if you think about what makes you trust someone that you're in a relationship with, you might resonate with this. Trust is something that is built through experience, through demonstration. If someone shows up in your life in a consistent way, that makes you feel like you can trust them. So when it comes to desire, whenever we experience a desire and we ignore it, we reinforce the belief that our inner voice, those inner inspirations, those creative impulses are not safe to follow. But every time we honor our desire, even in a small way, we begin to strengthen our trust in ourselves. I was having this conversation in the Level Up Mastermind this week, my group coaching program. And the person I was talking to was able to be very articulate about what their desire is. They said it very clearly. But as soon as they finished their sentence, they immediately started rushing into the next thought sequence. They started to analyze why they wanted what they wanted. They started to analyze and question that crystal clear desire that they had just articulated. They didn't even sit with it for one moment to allow that desire to live. And when I witnessed this, I posed the following question to the entire group. Why don't we just find out what our desire is? Step one. And then instead of engaging the brain in analyzing why we want what we want and second guessing what we want, why then can't our second step be to ask ourselves how to get from where we are right in that moment to where we want to be? So when we ask our brain a question, we are engaging in the reticular activating system, which helps us find the answer. So if I state a clear desire and then I engage my brain in the question, why do I want this desire? And you start going down that rabbit hole sometimes ironically takes you away from your desire. That's the path to talking yourself out of your desire. It's almost like you go in circles and you waste your energy. It's the land of overanalyzing. It's the land where ideas go to die, basically. But if we were to identify clearly what we wanted, what our desire is, and then engage our brain by saying, how do I get there? What's my next step? That's when we start moving toward our desire. That's when we honor our desire. That's the action that garners trust, self trust. Why do we even think that we have to make sure our desire is logical? Bro, the world doesn't need more logic, it needs more heart. And your heart is where your desire lives. And somewhere along the way, we were taught that desire was irresponsible, that wanting more was selfish, that dreaming bigger meant we were unrealistic. So before we even let ourselves imagine what's possible, we automatically edit ourselves. We edit our desires. So many people don't even let themselves feel their desires. What are your desires? Pause this if you need to, but get very clear today about what you want. When people tell me, I don't know what I want, I know 100% that's not true. You do know what you want. You just don't believe it's possible. So you won't admit to yourself that's what you want. Can we please stop demonizing desire? Can we stop holding ourselves back? Can we stop editing ourselves and diluting ourselves? And let's be honest, what's the cost of doing that? What's the cost of demonizing desire, holding ourselves back and diluting ourselves? How many years have you spent talking yourself out of what you actually want? How much energy does it take to convince yourself to stay small? How many opportunities have you passed because you decided your desire wasn't practical enough, wasn't realistic enough, or it wasn't the right time? Everyone is afraid of failure or rejection to some extent. So that's one of the reasons we cut off our desire before it even has a chance to bloom. But the dangerous thing about suppressing desire is that it takes so much energy and it causes its very own kind of discomfort. So we tend to pick up coping mechanisms to dull the pain of denying our desires. Just notice that for a second, that pattern. We think suppressing desire protects us from discomfort. We don't allow ourselves to connect with what our heart truly wants because we think we're protecting ourselves by ignoring that desire. But ignoring the desire doesn't eliminate the discomfort. It trades one kind of discomfort for another. Instead of the discomfort of growth, we experience the discomfort of stagnation. Instead of risking rejection, we reject ourselves first. Isn't that ironic? We ignore our desire because we don't want to be rejected, so we reject ourselves first. So, what if we're not asking ourselves the right questions when it comes to desire? Just how I was talking about that conversation I had in the Level Up Mastermind. The person I was coaching had the tendency to start asking herself why she had the desire that she had instead of how can I get closer to my desire? How can I experience my desire? So, what if asking yourself, how can I allow myself to experience my desire? was the real question. How can I give myself permission to experience my desire? That question changes everything because your brain starts looking for possibilities instead of limitations. It shifts you from proving why you can't to discovering how you can. But some of you might have resistance to this too, because your belief that you can't have what you want is so safe and comfy. You act mad at it, but then you cuddle it because it keeps you safe from having to do what you truly want to do. There's something strangely comforting about certainty, even when the certainty is painful. The thought I can't have what I want is predictable, but opening yourself up to the possibility that you could actually have what you want, now you have to become someone new. If you stop thinking the thought that you can't have what you want and you started engaging in the thought, how can I experience my desire? And then you act on that insight, you'll probably get what you want. And that is scary as hell for people sometimes. And what if it will never stop being scary? What if fear and desire go hand in hand? Because true heart's desire always calls us into growth. And all growth is uncomfortable and unpredictable to some extent. So maybe courage isn't the absence of fear. Maybe courage is deciding your desire is more important than your fear. Or maybe the goal isn't to stop being scared. Maybe the goal is to become the kind of person who knows how to move with fear instead of waiting for it to disappear. Listen, honey, it's time to come out with it and admit to yourself what you want. Then you got to get comfortable with your desire. And part of getting comfortable with your desire is indulging in it. At the very least, allow yourself to go there, contemplate it, contemplate the possibilities. Let your heart sing with the possibilities. Let yourself imagine, what if it could be possible to have what I want? Spend time with this. Journal about it. Talk about it. Imagine it. Let yourself experience what it would feel like if it was already unfolding. But here's the most important thing I want you to hear. Stop treating your desire like it's dangerous. Start treating it like it's trying to introduce you to the next version of yourself. If this conversation stirred something in you, if you know that you're the creator of your life and you're ready for support and guidance along the way, I want to invite you into the free 3-day Level Up Mastermind Guest Pass. This is for the person who knows they create their life and want a space that continually leads them back to their own inner knowing and wisdom in a world that's full of doubt. I created a guest pass because I want you to experience what this room is actually like. So for 3 days, you'll step inside a Level Up Mastermind portal where you'll have access to a rich collection of coaching replays, guided exercises, and resources designed to get you to think differently, see new possibilities, and take action toward the life you want. You'll also be invited to join us live on Zoom for one of our weekly coaching calls. You can simply listen and receive coaching through the conversations happening in the room, or you can raise your hand and get coached yourself and experience what it feels like to be supported by a community that's committed to creating their lives on purpose. It's a very unique experience with a unique group. None of us are performing. We are all just keeping it real. And the best part is that you don't have to perform either. You get to show up exactly how you are. And my hope is that you leave feeling ignited, that you walk away with specific insights, new ideas you're excited to act on, and that you begin taking even the smallest steps toward fulfilling your desire. Coaching is valuable at every stage and phase of life. It keeps you sharp. It keeps your brain thinking clearly. It keeps you aware, conscious, and accountable. This isn't therapy. It can feel therapeutic at times, but this is a group of people intentionally leaning into their self empowerment and creating their lives on purpose. And when we live more intentionally, we naturally create more of the results that we want. The guest pass is a complete experience in its own right. And if you decide to continue beyond the 3-day guest pass, you'll discover that it's just the beginning of what's inside the full Level Up Mastermind. If this sounds like something you've been craving, get in here. There's a space for you. I created the Level Up Mastermind to help people create the lives of their dreams, where they're not just surviving, they're thriving. Because thriving is the revolution. And as above, so below. The more we thrive individually, the more we all thrive. That ripple will just keep going and going. I welcome you to experience this for yourself. The link to the Level Up Mastermind Guest Pass is in the show notes. And if you're listening and you're thinking, I'm not ready or interested in coaching, but I do know that I'm living in survival mode, I created a 4-week stop, drop, create coherence video series to help you build the foundation of coherence in your life. Because the more coherent you become, the easier it is to stay present in the life you've been asking for. Go to shamantaima.com and click the Stop, Drop, Create Coherence tab to get started.